What's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today. Today I'm going to be focusing on a deck tech with Falco Spara Pact Weaver. To preface the video, I just want to make this clear that I'm going to be showing just a couple cards and couple synergies in this deck tech video. I'm not going to be showing a full list of every single card you should be running in the deck. I will put a link in the description down below for a full deck tech. And before I get into this video, for those who are just new to the channel and don't know what's happening, I'm giving away a free draft booster box of Streets of New Capenna. The deadline is April 29th, and the way to enter is by subscribing to the channel. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Alright, so we have Falco Spara Pact Weaver. It is a flying trample bird demon. Falco Spara Pact Weaver enters the battlefield with a shield counter. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature you control in addition to paying its other costs. So, with this, you may be wondering, what is a shield counter? Well, a shield counter is simply if a creature with a shield counter would be destroyed or dealt damage, you may remove a shield counter from it instead. I kind of like to think of it kind of like regenerate, but like a one-time use only. But for me personally, I think this is a pretty sweet commander if you like to use counters and also if you like to play Bant colors. For me personally, I'm not too much of a Bant color enthusiast, but I know there's a lot of those that are. So with this, there's a lot of cards and synergies and even some combos you could use with Falco Spara. Some of the great synergies you could use in this deck with Falco is using something like Proliferate. There's a lot of proliferation cards out there, especially with the War of the Spark set that was with a couple years ago. I'm going to use Evolution Sage as an example of why Proliferate might be a good strategy for Falco. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you may proliferate. So with this, you could give an additional counter to Falco, especially with that shield counter, so that you could continuously go through your deck and play spells. I would say another really good option is actually using Vorinclex. I really do like him. I really loved him in Kaldheim and just the animalistic nature of him. With him, you could use the ability to add additional counters to either Falco or other creatures you have. This way, so you could kind of go through your whole deck and find key pieces to win. There's also a card that might seem good on paper with all these counter synergies, but it's really probably not the best, and here's why. This is the Ozolith. So with the Ozolith, you might be thinking, well, it's a great fit because we're dealing with all these counters, and when the creatures leave the battlefield, you can put all the counters on it and then put it on more creatures instead. But the problem is with Falco, you're removing counters. You're not removing creatures from the game. This also includes using shield counters to buff your creatures. Though shield counters can evade exile effects, they can avoid cards like destroying effects. So for me, I feel like the Ozolith might not be the best fit. Tell me down below in the comments if you feel like I'm wrong and you want to clarify some stuff. There are also some really fun synergies you may want to include in this deck. You could use Luminous Broodmoth, for example. Whenever a creature dies, you may put it back on the battlefield with a flying counter. With this, you could use Falco's ability to then remove that counter, and when it dies again, you can put it back on the battlefield. You could also use Mana Gorger Hydra. With this, whenever a player casts a spell, you could put a 1/1 counter on Mana Gorger Hydra. Usually in games, Mana Gorger Hydra turns really huge, and with this, you could use all those counters to fuel Falco's ability. You could also use Mikaeus the Lunarch. With this, he enters the battlefield with the certain amount of counters you want to put on it. Then, you could remove those counters to also fuel Falco's ability, and so on and so forth. Usually, with a lot of my videos, I do like to add combos in the decks that I put in, just to end the game. I know some people like to just end the game by combat, and that's completely fine. I do like to end the game by combos, mainly due to just in case if the game's going longer than it should. So with this combo, This requires us to have Falco Spara Pact Weaver, Kappa Cannoneer, Sensei's Divining Top, and Cloud Key all on the battlefield. And I know what you're saying, Sensei Divining Top is in a lot of combos, but this one really works well with this deck. So with this, you want to have Cloud Key enter the battlefield choosing Artifact. Also, you do need a counter on one of your creatures, which will be really easy as Falco Spara enters the battlefield with a shield counter. And Kappa Cannoneer enters the battlefield with a counter as well because it's an artifact creature. So with this, you want to activate Sensei's Divining Top by tapping it, causing you to draw a card and putting it back on the top of your library. Then, because of Cloud Key, it costs no mana, and you may remove a counter from a creature you control to cast Sensei's Divining Top from the top of your library. Then what will happen is Sensei's Divining Top will trigger Kappa Cannoneer when it enters the battlefield by putting an extra 1/1 counter on it. With this, you could continuously loop out infinite card draw, or as much as your deck allows. Then you could win the game by using something like a Brain Freeze or a Thassa's Oracle. I do know that's more of a strategy a lot of people don't like using, but it works really well with this combo. You could also essentially use the same thing with Devoted Druid and Sensei's Dividing Top. With this, putting in a 1/1 counter on Devoted Druid by untapping it, you could essentially keep on playing Sensei's Divining Top from your library and removing that counter from Devoted Druid to draw your whole deck too. In wrapping up this video, I will say Falco Spara seems like a very interesting commander. I know we've seen a lot of commanders that do have that ability of playing on top of the library, just like the Reality Chip or Elsha the Infinite. I do like Falco as a different option though, mainly due to the addition of green. But in overall, I do think Falco will be pretty fun, and there's probably going to be way more busted stuff that could happen with Falco in the near future. I just thought of these combos myself as I was researching, and also just wanting to see how this commander can do in a commander game. But let me know down below and see if there's anything I missed, if there's some things that you're excited about with this new commander. Let me know down below in the comments. And again, thank you for stomping by.